Before we get into the video, guys, I have a new Discord server. The link to join this will be in the description. We will be able to talk about different stuff with college basketball and do Q&As, and I'll announce my videos and stuff like that. So make sure you click the link to join the Discord server. Let's get into the video. Sup, guys, it's Alex here, and welcome to my 2020 SEC Tournament Predictions video. Last year, I was able to predict the SEC Finals correctly with Auburn and Tennessee. I don't think I got the winner correctly. I can't remember who ended up winning the tournament. I want to say Auburn, but I may be incorrect on that one. But I am so excited to give you guys this video. The SEC is my favorite conference just because I'm a huge Kentucky fan, and obviously they're in the SEC right there. They are the #1 seed this year. The SEC is kind of having a down year, if I'm being completely honest. We only have about 5 teams projected to be in the tournament. We have Kentucky, who's projected to be a 2 seed, Auburn, who's projected to be a 5, LSU, who's projected to be, I think, a 9 right now, then Florida, who's projected to be a 9, and then Arkansas and Mississippi State have kind of been towing that in and out line, and a little bit lesser so for South Carolina and Alabama. But as you guys know, with March Madness, whoever wins the conference tournament gets an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. So every team in this tournament has a reason to play hard and to win the SEC tournament. Last year, Oregon was able to do that with the Pac-12 and surprise everybody and get into the tournament with the automatic bid. And then they ended up making a run to the Sweet 16, so that was kind of a surprise. Will we be able to see somebody do that this year? I don't know. Let's go ahead and get into the predictions for the SEC tournament. Up first, we have Tennessee and Alabama playing to be able to face Kentucky in the quarterfinal. I'm going to go with Tennessee moving on here to the quarterfinals and set up a rematch between Kentucky and Tennessee from Tuesday, which I did end up going to that game. So if you haven't checked out the vlog from that game, make sure you check that out. Tennessee was able to come back from a 17-point deficit to beat Kentucky on Kentucky's home floor, but then Kentucky beat Tennessee by, I think, like 11 or 12 on Tennessee's home floor. So this is the rubber match, the third match between these two teams, and I do think Kentucky will end up winning that. They're the better team, and if Ashton Higgins can come back in time for that, I think he'll be able to move them into the semifinals. And then if we go down here to the bottom of this little region, we have Ole Miss and Georgia. I think that Georgia will be able to move on here as the 13th seed with Anthony Edwards, who is projected to be almost the #1 pick. He's definitely going to be a top 5 pick. Some mock drafts has him as the #1 spot ahead of like Melo Ball and stuff. I think they can get the victory there over Ole Miss and move on to set up a Florida and Georgia game. If only this was a football tournament or something that would get huge ratings. Florida and Georgia are always perennial contenders in the SEC football. But in basketball, it's not so much this year, but I do think that Florida will be able to move on here past Georgia. They shouldn't have too much trouble. I think they'll be able to overpower them. And then Florida, I do think, will be able to beat Mississippi State and move on to the SEC semifinals to face Kentucky. More on that later. I think Kerry Blackshear will be able to move them past Mississippi State, and I don't think that Mississippi State will get into the tournament, or the NCAA tournament itself. Then we have Texas A&M beating Missouri. Missouri does not have the offensive firepower they have in the past with the Porter guys there. I don't think they'll be able to make the tournament this year. They're not even close to the NCAA tournament. And I think they'll lose to a hot Texas A&M team who's actually kind of surprising people. They just went on the road and beat Auburn this week. They could surprise some people, and that sets up a rematch between Auburn and Texas A&M, which may be pretty interesting to see. But then I do think that Arkansas down here will end up beating Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's kind of been the punching bag of the SEC. I think they only have 1 win this year, and that was against LSU. But I think that Arkansas needs to get some victories here to be able to get into the NCAA tournament. And I think they'll do it again here. I think they'll move on here past South Carolina as the 11th seed in the SEC. Arkansas has a definite reason to be playing. South Carolina can definitely win that game against Arkansas. I mean, South Carolina did beat Kentucky and Clemson. I think they beat Virginia, too, throughout the course of the season. But I don't think they'll be able to beat Arkansas here. I think they're able to get the victory, which sets up Auburn versus Texas A&M up here. And I'm going to go with Auburn. They have Isaac Okoro, who's projected to be around a lottery pick. I think he's like back half of the top 10 and then like early teens, something like that. We'll kind of see what happens with that. But I do think that Auburn will end up winning that game against Texas A&M and getting their revenge for this past week where they lost at home. And then I do think that LSU will be able to move on here to the SEC semifinals. They're kind of falling apart defensively as of late, but I do think they'll be able to get the job done here and beat Arkansas to move on to the SEC semifinals. And then why not go ahead and do this part right here to go into the SEC finals itself. I am going to go with Auburn here. They've been a pretty strong team over the course of the season. They were in the top 10 at one point, like nationally, but they've kind of fallen off as of late. I think they've lost like 3 of their last 5 games, something like that. They're not as hot as they were earlier in the season when they only had like 2 losses and were in the top 10. But then up here, Kentucky and Florida. I would have said it was a rubber match had we been looking at the first 39 minutes of the game yesterday. But Kentucky rattled back from an 18-point deficit to win by 1 point at Florida. That was a great showing by Kentucky in that second half. They were able to come back from 18 down with like 12 minutes to go. And that's why I do think they'll be able to beat Florida again. They swept them over the course of the regular season. Why not have them go 3-0 against Kentucky, which sets up an SEC final between Kentucky and Auburn, and I'm going to go with the Kentucky Wildcats. They've just been the best team throughout the course of the season, and they beat Auburn on their home floor, and then I truly believe that the only reason why Auburn won in their earlier game when it was at Auburn was because Auburn shot 44 free throws in that game. I'm still a bit sour about that, but I do think Kentucky is the better team, and I think Kentucky can win the SEC tournament and then even make a run in the NCAA tournament. They are national title contenders. I would say Auburn. I'd probably cap them as like a Sweet 16, maybe possibly Elite 8 depending on matchups, but we'll kind of see what happens with that. Either way, we have Kentucky winning the SEC tournament. Let me know what you guys think about the actual SEC tournament yourselves. Let me know your own predictions and stuff, and then make sure you subscribe to the channel for my actual NCAA tournament videos and other conferences. I'll be releasing the ACC tournament predictions and the Big East today, and then I think tomorrow we'll be doing the Big Ten, Pac-12, and possibly the A-10. We'll kind of see what happens with that, possibly the American, plus a bracketology. We'll just have videos galore over the course of this week. I love March Madness. I know you guys do too. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all later.